What is up, everybody? We are back. I wanted to hop on here and give you my top 20 films of 2023. Obviously, there are so many incredible films out there. These are the ones that I just resonated the most with and the ones that I found the most enjoyable. So our list could be different, and that's totally okay. But let me know in the comments, because I want to know what films you found the most enjoyable, and if we do have a similar list, I'd love to know that too. But today, I'm giving you my 1 through 20 favorite films, and before we get into all of that, I just want to wish everybody a happy new year, and thank you so much for subscribing to my page and following me along on this journey, because I had so many dreams come true this year and different things happen that I never thought was possible. So thank you guys so much for all of that, and I look forward to 2024. But without further ado, enough of that. Let's get into my top 20 films of the year. First up, at number 20, we have Air. I really enjoyed this movie. If you don't know what it is, it's about basically how Air Jordan became a thing and how his shoe is so iconic. The cast was incredible, Chris Messina especially, and let me tell you, I had no idea Michael Jordan's mom was such a badass. At number 19, I have Barbie. I thought this movie was an absolute blast. I had no idea how they were going to make a movie about a Barbie doll compelling, but leave it to Greta Gerwig to get the job done. We're still singing I'm Just Ken, and I'm here for it. At number 18, I have Leave the World Behind, which is on Netflix. I know this is a mixed bag for a lot of people. Some of you probably don't have it as high as I do, which I did take an edible before watching this movie, so that could have played a part into this, but I was hooked from start to finish. I thought the cinematography was fantastic, and it honestly was super intense. At number 17, we have When Evil Works, which is probably one of the most fucked up horror films I've seen in a very long time. This movie is unforgiving, it is unrelenting, and it is just goddamn brutal. I was afraid of my dog for a few days after watching this, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about when you see it. And at number 16, I have Bottoms. This movie was my favorite comedy of the year. Rachel Sennett and Ayo Edebari were absolutely hysterical together. If you don't know what this is, it's about two girls who basically start a fight club to hook up with other girls, and it's basically Blue Mountain State meets American Pie, but if it was done by females. Absolutely hysterical. And finally, at number 15, I have The Last Stop in Yuma County, which was absolutely incredible. It doesn't come out until 2024, but I did get to see this at Fantastic Fest, which was also my first film festival going as press. So thank you to all of you for even making that a possibility, which I also got to interview the director of this movie, which was an experience in itself that I'm so grateful for. But this movie kicks so much ass. It's essentially the Coen brothers in their early days. You got two bank robbers who end up at a gas station that's run out of gas, and they are forced to wait it out at this diner along with a few others for that fuel truck to show up. From there, it becomes this tale of morality that's dark at times, but also absolutely hysterical. It's a thriller that had me on the edge of my seat the entire time, and I can't recommend this movie enough. At number 14, we have Saltburn. Listen, I love this movie. I saw it first at Fantastic Fest, and then in Arizona, I got to see it again thanks to Movies More Fun. They sent me to the Arizona premiere of this movie. This movie's absolutely disturbing, but it's also absolutely hysterical. And I even enjoyed this more seeing it the second time. There was little things that I picked up on that I didn't in the first watch of it. The cast was absolutely fantastic. Barry Keoghan was just phenomenal. Jacob Elordi was great. Rosamund Pike was hysterical. Honestly, every single person involved in this was awesome. And Emerald Fennell, thank you for making this movie. And I will tell you that Murder on the Dance Floor is still stuck in my head, and so is that bathtub scene, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. At number 13, I have Strange Darling, which I also saw at Fantastic Fest. Listen, this movie gave me a fucking panic attack. This movie is incredible. First of all, Willa Fitzgerald, oh my fucking god. If you thought any of her previous acting performances were great, wait till you see her in this, because my mind was blown, and the chemistry between her and Kyle Gallner was just like pure perfection, and they both absolutely crushed it. This movie is like Paul Thomas Anderson meets Quentin Tarantino and the perfect game of cat and mouse, and I cannot recommend this one enough. At number 12, I have Your Lucky Day, which I also saw at Fantastic Fest. This film is absolutely incredible. It's available for rent, and I highly recommend you check this one out. Essentially, what it's about is you have this guy who walks in who won the lotto into this convenience store. There's a bunch of other people there, and it turns into this whole deadly hostage situation that is just a tale riddled with morality and just riddled with tension from start to finish. I was on the edge of my seat the entire time. This is one of Angus Cloud's last performances. He's absolutely incredible in this, but it's Jessica Garza who steals the show for me. She is unbelievable, and you're just cheering for her the entire time. At number 11, I have Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Listen, these films are unbelievable. The style, the animation, the story, Everything about these movies is just pure perfection, and what they've created here is just something truly special. You just can't help but root for Miles Morales. He's easily become my favorite Spider-Man, and these are easily my favorite Spider-Man films, so that's why this one's number 11. It's that damn good. At number 10, I have Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Listen, what James Gunn created with this trilogy was probably my favorite part of the MCU. The characters, the journey that you went on, all of it was absolutely fantastic, and I was zoned in every single time. You cried with them, you were joyful with them, just everything about those movies were just so fun, and James Gunn just transports you into this whole other world, and I loved every single minute of it, and it's going to be missed. And at number 9, I have Poor Things. Listen, this movie is unlike anything I've ever seen. Visually, narratively, everything about this movie was just truly remarkable, and Emma Stone honestly gives the performance of a lifetime. This movie is incredible from start to finish, and just watching the way her character grows and seeing even like the subtle things of like how it starts off as black and white and it blossoms into color as she grows and learns more about herself and the kind of mark she wants to leave in this world and the woman that she wants to be, not what others want her to be, and this whole journey that she takes you on. I could honestly talk about this movie for hours. There's so much to say, but needless to say, I absolutely love this film. At number 8, I have Talk to Me. I am a huge fan of horror. It's one of my favorite genres, and this movie absolutely blew me away. I even got to go to a special screening of this at San Diego Comic-Con, which was such a cool experience. I met the directors, I met one of the cast members, they even had like a fun little after party, and this movie just blew me the fuck away. Like, as a huge fan of horror, obviously we've seen possession storylines over the years, but this was unlike anything I've seen before, and what Danny and Michael created here was something truly special, honestly. And it was downright terrifying, and from that opening sequence until the end of this movie, I mean, it started off with a fucking bang, and it didn't relent from there. I was on the edge of my seat the entire time, and I loved every minute of this film. At 7, I have my favorite horror film of the year. Listen, I am a huge fan of slashers. Slashers is my favorite type of horror, and this movie just checked all the boxes for me. From that opening sequence, which was a throwback to a certain film, because I don't want to spoil it if you haven't seen this movie yet, but that opening sequence, from that point on, I was like, this is the movie for me. The kills were fantastic. The cast was honestly great. We got some new final girls out of it. We finally got a new horror icon in John Carver, and we got the Thanksgiving horror film that we've been waiting for. What Eli Roth did with this movie, you can tell this is his genre. This was like his tribute to all the horror slashers that came before it, and like it was a love letter to all of them, and I absolutely loved every single minute of this movie. It was one of the most fun times I had in a movie theater this year, and if you haven't seen it, I can't recommend this one enough. At number 6, I have The Holdovers. Listen, this movie is an absolute treat, and I loved every single minute of it. It reminded me so much of films like Dead Poets Society, Rudy, and it just takes you on a journey and just wraps you up in this very warm blanket, and it's just such a joy to see films like this being made still, because honestly, there hasn't been something like this in so long. Some people are calling it the best Christmas film ever made, which I could see that, and it just... The acting from everybody involved, Paul Giamatti's fantastic, Davine Joy Randolph was incredible, but it's Dominic Sessa who I think is just going to be a force to be reckoned with moving forward. And, you know, this movie just, like, it brings you in and it takes you on this journey of, like, a group of people who kind of feel like outcasts but find each other in, like, you know, in their lowest points. And it's just it's heartbreaking, but it's also just, like, so beautiful, and it's just such an incredible story. At number 5, I have The Iron Claw, which was one of the biggest surprises of the year for me. This movie absolutely blew me away. Zac Efron gave up the performance of a lifetime. The rest of the cast was absolutely incredible. And this movie is just heartbreaking. It hits you in the gut and just doesn't relent. And it's funny because, like, I grew up watching wrestling and I didn't know anything about this story. And I don't think you need to either to enjoy just how good this movie really is. It's devastating, though. I don't think I ever left a theater in my entire life where every single person in that theater left with red eyes. Like, everybody was crying. I was in tears. And it's just such a beautiful story. And that ending line from Zac Efron, haunting. And he deserves every award for this movie. At number 4, I have John Wick Chapter 4. Because this movie was probably one of my favorite action movies of all time. And there's a lot of good ones out there, but what Chad Stahelski's done with this franchise is unlike anything else out there. And somehow the fights become better, the story gets better with each movie, all of it. And there's one sequence in this movie with a shotgun that has incendiary rounds that is unlike anything else I've ever seen. And the way that's filmed and shot is just one of the coolest sequences in a movie I've seen in a long time. I loved every minute of this movie. Keanu Reeves is just a damn stud. And Rina Soyama was fantastic. Bill Skarsgård was just absolutely terrifying. The rest of the cast was amazing too. I'm ready for that spinoff with Akira though. I need that now. At number 3, I have Oppenheimer, which I don't think will come to a surprise to many people because a lot of people have this movie up there as well. I love this movie. I am a huge Christopher Nolan fan. Interstellar is one of my favorite movies of all time, and honestly, this might take the edge. I love this movie that much, and you know, it's funny because I didn't get to see this in IMAX because it was sold out every freaking day, but I am seeing it in IMAX next month. It's re-releasing, and I cannot wait. But this movie just blew me away. Cillian Murphy gave one of the most haunting performances. Like, it's his Oscar to lose. There's no shot, and there's no way in what world that this guy doesn't win it, because what he did in this movie was just pure perfection. Everybody involved was amazing too. I mean, Emily Blunt, Matt Damon, Robert Downey Jr., every single person played their parts just so well, and the way this movie is shot and the score, it is so damn haunting. And let me tell you that the Trinity test, you could hear a pin drop in my theater. It was that silent, and it was one of the coolest experiences in a theater I had all year. At number 2, I have Past Lives. What Celine Song did with her directorial debut was honestly something truly special. This movie is haunting, it's beautiful, it's heartbreaking, but it's just done so well, and it takes you on this journey of, you know, the different paths in life that we take, and, you know, what true love means, and what could have been, and, you know, say we took this one path, where that would have led us. And it's just like this introspective into all of that. And the dialogue in this movie is some of the best all year. Greta Lee, Teo Yo, Jean Majaro all knock it out of that park. And at the end of this movie, I'm just left questioning everything. It's that beautiful, and I loved every single minute of this fucking film. At number 1, I have Godzilla Minus One. I absolutely love this movie. I've been a huge fan of Godzilla since I was a little kid. I used to watch all of the films. They were like my favorite thing ever. My mom used to take me to Blockbuster to rent them, and we even had most of them on VHS. But watching this movie in IMAX and seeing how incredible it was and experiencing all that honestly brought me back to being a little kid and why I grew up enjoying Godzilla. This movie is something truly special, and what the director Takashi Yamazaki created with this film is honestly truly special. And this takes that 1954 film and modernizes it in probably one of the best ways possible, in my opinion. And this story is haunting, it is heartbreaking, devastating, but it's just so beautiful. And the cast, they were all incredible. And when I tell you that first time you see Godzilla, well, I guess the second time you see Godzilla, you know, fire up, his spine start popping out of his back, and they turn blue, and you know it's coming, and that atomic breath's about to fire. What happens next honestly left me in tears, and it was just such a haunting sequence, and seeing that true power of this Godzilla. This movie is one of my favorite Godzilla films ever made. I loved every single minute of it, and it was such an experience to me, and that's why I have it at number 1. And if you haven't seen it, please go see this on the biggest screen possible.